Dabo Sweeney crying tampering at Ole Miss. Does he have a point? Time to get the squad together.
You're talking ball with the SEC squad. From Alabama to Tennessee, from Georgia to Oklahoma, from Auburn to Texas, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming SEC weekend. It's the SEC squad, and we have a seat for you. Hurt feelings and thin skin are prohibited. Squad up, you're part of the SEC squad.
And what's up, everybody? Welcome into the SEC squad. Sit back and grab your favorite beverage and join us as we talk another week of the offseason, talking all things SEC. Let's welcome in our panel this week. We've got Jay Smith from Locked On Sooners. We've got Stephen Willis from Locked On Ole Miss, Corey Burton from Locked On Vandy, and Eric Kane from Locked On Vols. I'm Chris Gordy, host of Locked On SEC. And gents, the old mantra is if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And Dabo Sweeney calling out Ole Miss. Ole Miss head coach Pete Golding a couple of days ago, basically saying that he is tampering with transfer Luke Farrelly, and drew some mixed reaction throughout the college football world. There are some people who say, Dabo, quit crying. This is how college football works now. And there are other people taking the moral high ground saying, hey, you know what? He's got a point there. And, hey, let's try to draw some lines in the sand here of, keep some modicum of, rules in place. But we ask our panel, Dabo crying over tampering. Is it just whining, or does he have a point?
I think he certainly has a point, right? I mean, there's tampering everywhere. I often say, what is tampering? You can't prove tampering, so quit crying about tampering. If anybody, we were talking about this before we went on air. If anybody's going to come and bring this to light and go out on a stand, it should be Dabo, because Dabo, to our knowledge, is a guy that doesn't like the portal much, probably doesn't have many skeletons, if any, in the closet. So he's a guy that can get up to the podium and say this, and that. No, yeah, come look at our program. We're squeaky clean. Now, I have no issue whatsoever with him getting up there and going full blast on Pete Golding. But is anything going to come of this? If something's going to come of this, then great. More coaches should do it. But this has been almost a week now, and at the time of this recording, nobody's said anything. There's been no public address by Greg Sankey, by presidents, athletic directors from either school. There's been nothing, right? So if nothing's going to come of this, then it's a nothing burger. But I have no issue with Dabo getting up there and calling it is what it is. And again, everybody tampers. So why in the world is the head coach of Ole Miss tampering? Do you not have a guy for that? That's my whole big thing in this whole thing. It's why are you the one doing this?
Yeah, the one thing that's weird is that Ole Miss literally lost 4 players, one exactly like this to Florida State, 3 to LSU. 2 of them were signed that went to LSU. So it was coming the other way as well. To me, this is like Dabo is that guy that is looking at the law books that you're not allowed to park your car on Capitol Street in Jackson, Mississippi, because it could scare the horses. That law is on the books. It just doesn't make sense anymore. Now, does Dabo have a point? Does it need to be cleaned up? Yeah, sure, probably. Nobody would take the position that it doesn't. Is it going to? No. And if you don't do it, you're going to lose your multi-million-dollar job. And then you're going to say, well, if I just would have sent that text message, we'd have been all right.
Yeah, I think to me, the biggest thing here is, as Eric mentioned, why is Pete Golding being the one doing this? Why is there quote unquote documented text messages that he sent to a player? At the same time, of all people you shouldn't do this to is Dabo Swinney. Just as Steven said, he is the mall cop of coaches in college football. Why would you do this to someone? Why would you agitate him of all people? Because he's going to go run and say something about it. Now, granted, he has a point. Tampering is bad. It's running rampant. Every team does it, probably except for Dabo, but everybody does it. It's just that we know that the NCAA is not going to do anything about it. And be honest, to me, this is by design. They're purposely allowing this to be more of the Wild Wild West, because then they can run to Big Daddy Congress and say, see, Daddy, we told you. We tried to do some things, and no one wanted to stay within any type of parameters. We need you to bring down the hammer to calm all this down. Unfortunately, it's going to take a while before anybody else steps into this, because it gets very, very muddy very quickly, because I don't care what anybody try to say. They're going to have to figure out how to do collective bargaining, which means these kids are going to become employees in some capacity. Y'all better figure that bad boy out. Just get that done.
And also the press conference that this whole thing was kicked off about, the text message behind it, hey, what's the buyout? I know you're signed. What's the buyout? They don't have that text. So that text has been long gone, and they needed that. So this was all just a PR thing. They're trying to win the PR war, what's going on. But like Eric said, and everybody said, nothing significant is going to come from this, because if you look at the NCAA book, let's say it's all true. Every bit of it's true. It's a level 2 violation. There's nothing that's going to come of it.
That's what sucks.
Nothing's going to happen to Ole Miss, and nothing's really going to get done, league-wide or countrywide or however you want to say it. I think Dabo has a point. I think we need to put some sort of guardrails on all of this stuff, but I don't know where you start at this point. I don't know how you begin to sift through all the crap to try to get something that's workable, because it is so rampant and off the rails that who knows? And again, Eric, I like your point about why is Pete Golding being the one that's tampering, and why you don't have a guy, that's a good point right there too.
That was the old thing in basketball, was that Will Wade got busted for being on the FBI wiretaps, whereas guys like John Calipari, like, he would never touch the phone. It's the guy under Calipari that has those phone calls.
And Steven has a good rebuttal for why it was the head coach doing this, and I want to bring him in here to say that here in just a second. But guys, I mean, it is 2026. All right, there are applications on this old phone right here to where you can run through, and those text messages disappear in an hour. I mean, at the very least, if it's gonna be you, let's use technology and let's go through that avenue, so those text messages go poof in thin air. But again, it needs to be somebody else. But Steven,
there's an app for everything. Now, granted, with that part, and Eric, to your point, if anything, because, and Steven, you made this a great point with that, it's a level 2 violation. Unless you get the feds in here and you're able to subpoena phone records, that text message is gone. You can delete it and it can come back because it's still in like the network records. They can find a way to pull it. But because it's gone and you ain't gonna be able to get no feds in this, this bad.
Lots of red tape to get that tape.
Exactly.
What Eric was talking about, the Thursday before the end of the transfer portal was like hand-to-hand combat, to where it was absolutely nuts between Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin. And Ole Miss ended up losing 2 players that they had signed that were starters on defense. And what happened after that was going on, you have to assume there's no rules. If nobody says anything about that going on, you think there's no rules. Of course you're going to send a text message if it does exist. Yeah.
There really are no rules.
Yeah.
Because you can do, like, you can go out and tamper all you want and go, what? I didn't know that was,
Well, look at the contrast too, guys. We just had Darian Mensah, who re-upped at Duke for a lot of money to stay there, and Miami came along and said, "We'll pay you more." And they just came to a settlement. I think they're going to have to pay Duke something to let him out of it. But contrast that with Washington quarterback Damon Williams, who it sounded like LSU and a few other schools were interested in pulling him out of Washington. Washington held firm. They got the Big Ten involved, and apparently the Big Ten drew up these revenue share agreements that said, "Oh, no, you cannot get out of this. That if you leave, we own your name, image, and likeness. You can't go use that anywhere else, and you got to buy your way out of this contract." So it's kind of interesting, the compare and contrast of Duke didn't want to lose him, but they're letting him go to Miami, whereas Washington said, "To hell with you, you're staying."
And how's that going to work out, right? Like how's in the locker room? I honestly don't think it's going to be that big of a deal, because guys understand, hey, you go get yours. Like, I hear you and all that, but the fan base is never gonna like him ever again. Of course, up there in Washington. And I mean, Duke just said, "All right, well, you're going to pay us a hefty penny. We're going to let you go." I mean, it's going to be really, really weird up there, because again, he's going to be the quarterback for the team that he just tried to publicly strong arm and lost.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, going back to the Clemson thing, Luke Farrelly did not sign a rev share and did not sign an NIL deal. He just signed financial aid papers, which, as we all know, if we follow recruiting, does not bind the player to the school, just binds the school to the player, which means he was eligible to leave regardless of what was going on. It's 2008 transfer rules that has Dabo upset, and that honestly shows somebody that hasn't been participating for the last 5.
Yeah. And that's probably going to ultimately be his downfall, unfortunately, because
Yeah.
you're going to get left way in the dust, and all these teams are going to surpass you. And with Miami pulling that move with Darian Mensah, I mean, good Lord, they're going to run through the ACC again, and that's going to be kind of crazy. But I was going to ask the question for you guys is what the Big Ten did with Washington and Damon Williams. Are we going to trend towards that where the conferences get involved in this rev share stuff once you sign those papers and understanding that Luke Ferrelli did not sign those papers, Damon Williams did. Is the conferences going to get involved now? Does Greg Sankey get involved with some of this stuff?
We'll find out, because the rumor is that LSU is going to try and not pay the buyout for the signed player with Prince Will Monmiel and not TJ Dotter. He didn't sign. I think Devin Harper was the other player that was signed. And July 1st, that money is due. If LSU doesn't pay that becomes a whole new thing about rev share and buyouts and all that. We look at this right now like a contract. It might get challenged in a couple of months.
Well, I think this is where the lawyers all go to work, right? Like, how good is your legal team? They go, no, actually he doesn't, so it's going to be, but look, you're kidding yourself if you don't think everybody's going to be covering for 2026 and 2027. Like, everybody's going to be covering their behinds for the future on this and really trying to figure out ways. And look, to me, I mean, like, I think it should be a free market. It's basically free agency. If somebody comes along and says, we'll give you $1 million, and then somebody else comes along and says, we'll give you $2 million, I don't know, for me, I kind of agree. Like, either you match it or let the kid go. Like, that should be as simple as that. So,
well, once you have signed, like, you buy out the contract just like you would do with coaches and just move on.
Yeah, buy out like with anything. Yeah, I think that's something that makes sense.
Yeah,
Dabo learned
if you don't sign papers, then it's a free market. Yeah. But
Dabo learned a very valuable lesson this time, and that is sign a contract on the first day. Doesn't need to wait because you're still negotiating what's going on. They have to have a signature on the document that day, or else you have no recourse, because a financial aid paper does not bind you to the school.
What sucks for Dabo too is the fact that they started school like a week earlier than everybody else. So this kid got to go to classes, start getting himself prepped, go to workouts, and he's like, "Yeah, this ain't for me. I'm out."
Yeah,
like a trial.
What you got
an apartment and a car, and he made a big deal out. It's like, well,
right.
dude.
Yeah, he got the 7-day trial, right? He decided that he didn't want to keep the subscription.
Yeah. Real quick, Steven.
Ole Miss's drop ad date is February 2nd, so they can still play portal games.
Real quick, Steven, who just off the surface right now, week 1, Clemson at LSU. Who do you root for?
Oh, I'm going to root for Clemson because, that doesn't change, but that is a Sophie's Choice type of game.
When we return, guys, do want to talk a little bit recruiting. Yes, in just less than a week is actually National Signing Day. It's not what it used to be, but we're going to talk a little bit on the recruiting angle of things when we return. More squad when we return.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kalia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. The WNBA has released its 2026 schedule featuring a 44-game regular season beginning on Friday, May 8th. The league's historic 30th season includes expansion teams Portland Fire and the Toronto Tempo, with opening weekend highlights such as Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever hosting Paige Beckers and the Dallas Wings, and a rematch of the 2025 finals between the Aces and the Mercury. In Unrivaled, Miami felt the breeze as Paige Beckers powered the breeze to a 75-68 win over the Lunar Owls, finishing with 28 points and 7 assists. She was joined by 20-year-old Dominique Malunga, who added 21 points, 8 rebounds, and became just the second player to ever dunk in an unrivaled game. In college hoops, South Carolina handed Vanderbilt its first loss of the season with a dominant 103-74 win. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts the same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment. Putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
Hey, I want to remind you guys, thank you for making us your first listen of the day, and thanks for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you haven't already, go check out our new Everydayer Club. You can find more info at lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer and get ad-free versions of your favorite Locked On show and exclusive Discord member chat. You can chat personally with Corey Burton or Eric Kane. Ask them any questions you might have. All right, fellas, Rivals, they updated their 5-star recruits for the class of 2026. 11 SEC players getting the 5-star treatment. I'll just kind of put this graphic up and ask you guys which name intrigues you most on this list. And Corey, I got to think I know who you're going to.
I don't know. I don't know who intrigues me the most. Maybe that one at number 2, Jared Curtis. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a special one right there. It's going to be fun watching him play. I'm gonna agree to that as well. Jared Curtis really intrigues me. I want to see what he becomes. I want to see the offense designed around him, Jay.
Yeah, me too. I'm really intrigued to see what he does there at Vanderbilt. If he can find a way to win the job as a true freshman, that would be even more intriguing. Vanderbilt's going to be fun to watch again. I want to see what Clark Lee can do. This is now his opportunity to show that he can make this sustainable. It's going to be a challenge, but truth be told, that's what I want to see if that can actually happen.
Yeah, if Diego Pavia was like Mario pre-mushroom, Jared Curtis is kind of Mario after the mushroom. So I am curious.
That's so good.
I'm curious to see what Vanderbilt looks like. That you're going to have a true freshman. There's going to be growing pains, but Vanderbilt didn't have a top 100 recruit forever. Now they have the number 2 recruit in America.
And then they got one for next year too, in Amari Sanders, a linebacker from FRA. So they're rolling a little bit in recruiting. Now, if you want to get my long-winded explanation of what I think this offense is going to look like with Jared Curtis, check out the episode that dropped on Tuesday.
Tease.
Yep. So, but in the short run, it's going to be an evolution of what you saw the last 4 or 5 games with Vanderbilt and how they were pushing the ball more downfield. Diego was throwing more from the pocket. They've gotten weapons to be able to do that kind of stuff now. So that's going to be intriguing.
And I will say this, this year continues the trend at Ole Miss to where they get a 5-star player to flip from an Alabama school on signing day who immediately becomes a 4-star. So with Jace Matthews dropping down to a 4-star player, it's just ridiculous. Last year was Caleb Cunningham. This year was Jace Matthews. But, yeah, it should be pretty good. Good for Corey Barber, though. That's a good pickup for LSU, by the way.
Everybody, and again, it's an impossible task to do the star rankings and all that. I mean, it's a thankless job, and it's an impossible job. But everybody's going to say that, Steven. Everybody's, once my team gets that committee drops down a little bit. Listen, Tennessee has, according to the Rivals 300, the updating rankings, the final rankings, what's the cutoff there for 5-star? Was it like 34,
32.
35?
Yeah, somewhere in the mid-30s, yeah.
Yeah. Tennessee has a wide receiver, Tristan Keys, flipped from LSU way back when, 39th overall, and Faison Brandon. It's one of the top quarterbacks in the class. 40th overall, he dropped 6 spots, so he would have been a 5-star prior to this final ranking. But Tennessee has several players just on the cut, 2 players, not several, on the cups of 5-star status. They are 5-star according to the Rivals industry rankings, but not according to the Rivals 300 that was just updated.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to me that Faison Brandon dropped like that, but at the same time,
he didn't play. He was hurt a lot of his senior year. However, came back. I think he played in 5 games total, 4 of which were the playoff run, and they won a state title. And he was awesome, and he ran the football through the football. I mean, he was just as expected. So, I mean, the injury probably caused him to drop the 6 spots, and he wasn't a 5-star, but.
He was signing with Tennessee, Eric. That's exactly
what it was. Signing with Tennessee. Let's be realistic here.
Also, if you don't play in those silly All-Star games at the end of the year, the analysts that rank the players, they're going to punish you for it. Yeah, they do that every year to somebody.
They get that. They get their feelings hurt in all seriousness with that.
Yeah, what cracks me up too to go with this is that Luke Waffle is number 1 on Rivals across the board. 247 has him 70. ESPN has him 106, and so his composite is 38th. It's like, wow,
which that wouldn't even be a 5-star.
Not at all. Not at all. When you look at the whole kit and caboodle. Like Faison Brandon as a composite 5-star, which I think that probably him and Tristan Keys at number 10 and number 11. So I think that to me matters more. But
yeah, I put this up because these were all guys just outside of the 5-star rankings. For those of you looking at on video, but D Lyman, Jay Kroll, if they're going to Oklahoma, we got Jace Matthews that Stephen referenced going to Ole Miss, and of course Faison Brandon, who 24/7 seems to be higher on than rivals. But it is interesting though, guys, because in this day and age, you start to ask, how much does recruiting even matter? And of all these guys we're talking about, like, if they don't play this year, they might be playing somewhere else next year. So I almost look at it as like, how important are these guys? Well, get them out of the field and see if they can play, because if they don't, they're going to be somewhere else in 2027.
Yes, and I mean that's the balance. I mean every fan base in America, is asking that same question. It's okay. So how do you balance the transfer portal with traditional recruiting? I mean, traditional recruiting is how you build the foundation of your program, right? But if you want to go out and get obviously a star quarterback or a difference maker here, and if you want to go get older players in the transfer portal come in that got plenty of experience, I mean, there's a lot of people saying, well, what's the value of traditional high school recruiting? And every program does a little bit different. I think that the healthiest balance is kind of somewhere in the middle, usually for long sustaining stability. However, again, you got to roster retention. You got to keep those guys. And Tennessee obviously took a big old swing at Sam Leavitt, came up short. And then they were pretty much just like, all right, we're going to roll with these two young guys, Faison Brandon, who we just saw right there, incoming industry ranking 5-star, and George McIntyre, who once upon a time, like his junior year of high school, was a 5-star, but he was a 4-star long before those final rankings came out a year ago. A lot of talent on the roster at quarterback. Will that be the right decision for Josh Heupel? We'll see. But again, that's a clear example. Like, hey, we brought these guys here for a reason. Play them, because if you don't play them, they're going to leave.
Yeah, that's kind of
Brandon Brandon Faison win the.
Faison Brandon.
Faison Brandon, yeah, there you go.
Yep.
I got my names mixed up there. I'm, you know me and names. Does he win the QB1 job?
It'll be interesting, right? I mean, George McIntyre, who I know you're very familiar with, Corey.
Brentwood Academy, yeah.
Jerry Garantano at Tennessee. Everybody remembers him for the wrong reasons, but great guy, by the way. He's done some work with me. Had 4 different offensive coordinators, 5 different quarterback coaches at Tennessee. Like, George McIntyre was that in high school. He went through like 4 or 5 different offenses, had a bunch of different coordinators. He's been in the system for a year, obviously. Coaches know what they have in him. He knows the offense. He still needs to gain some weight in a big-time way, but I would assume he's got the leg up. Faison Brandon's got all the potential and everything you want in a quarterback. Check. So how quickly can he come in, learn the offense, operate the speed of the game and all that? And if he can do that, then I think he's got a really good opportunity to be the quarterback. But I think it's going to come down to that fall, camp battles, third scrimmage, and then kind of see what happens. Wouldn't surprise me if they don't have an obvious answer if they play both of them to begin the year.
Is he on campus now?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, that's one thing I mentioned before to folks is that retention is just as expensive as acquisition. So going out there to go find players in the portal or even bringing in your foundational players, to me, your high school players are more so your wholesale prices compared to the portal, which is retail prices. And that's where the numbers go up. And so you're getting those players because you should get them to fill gaps, but you should keep your foundation with high schoolers. I mean, contrary to popular belief out there, it's what Indiana did. Like, their entire roster are all JMU dudes that have been with that staff for like the last 2, 3, 4 years, with some portal players to fill all the gaps where they realized after their one really good year last season, they needed to fill in some places. So they started portaling guys in. But a lot of those dudes are JMU. All their main guys, JMU dudes. And
you're exactly right. I mean, for the most part, not for everybody, but for the most part, to keep your guy, it's going to be cheaper than going out and getting a guy.
It is.
And that guy might not be as good as the guy you're losing. So
exactly. You know what you got. You know your devil. Keep the devil that you know, right?
Yes. A lot of times they're going to give you a hometown discount. Not everybody, but a lot of times.
Not everybody. Sometimes they do.
Yeah. The best 2 players in the transfer portal this year is Trinidad Chambliss and Kewan Lacey. Ole Miss locking them down. That if that would have gone into the portal, they would have been at the very top of the list. And second of all, Kaner, you got Jim Knowles and the whole Penn State defense. If anybody's used to quarterback questions, you got it, man.
Yeah, that is very true. That is very true.
But that's with all that stuff. Yeah,
that's the thing to keep in mind when it comes to talking about high schoolers and the portal guys, man. The price, man, it's still gonna be expensive no matter what. It's always better. Most coaches like the players they recruit for a reason. So they invest in that. The unfortunate thing is sometimes you end up being really young and you just got to live through that young phase. And if you can make it out of the young phase, that usually pays dividends within about a year, maybe 2 down the road. So I'm hoping Tennessee fans are patient with that portion of it. I know it's tough, but I mean, that's what we did at Oklahoma, right? It took Brent Venables about 4 years to get the defense like it is this year, the way he wanted it. But it was all because it's his own dudes. We portaled in 2 guys on defense that will probably play immediately, a linebacker and 1 edge. But the rest of those dudes, foundational pieces that they have been acquiring for like the last 3 years. And so sometimes you got to just give it some time, let it play out. And then go.
The line somebody told me, though, they said never, now more than ever, never has it been as important to have finished second in recruiting. Because if you finish second, you're in when he hits the portal in a year. So it's
for Ole Miss, they're looking at Deuce Gerald's right now. Deuce Gerald's doesn't play this year at LSU. You can bet that they would be looking that direction with him.
Again,
his dad's legacy. Yeah.
Everybody obviously not named Ole Miss. I mean, there's ways to talk to those kids. If you're not
Golding's probably texting him already. I mean, hey, all right, guys. When we return, we do need to get to. We do need to get to a break. When we return, we got a couple more things we will touch on, and Trinidad Chambliss will come up when we return here. More SEC Squad. Hey, first, guys, let's be real. Managing your finances, it can feel overwhelming between subscriptions you forget about, bills that keep going up, trying to figure out where all your money actually goes each month. It's easy to feel like you're losing control. Who has time to keep track of every transaction or hunt down hidden fees? That's where Rocket Money comes in, your personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending. Jay Smith has it right there, and it'll help lower your bills so you can grow your savings. You're going to be shocked when Rocket Money shows you what you're paying for. It's something you completely forgot about. Maybe it's an old gym membership. You're like, they're still charging me? Rocket Money is going to save you money. You can set budgets and goals, get personalized insights, receive real-time alerts for large transactions, upcoming bills, and low balances. It even consolidates your checking, savings, loans, and investments into a single dashboard so you get a clear view of your entire financial picture. Or even like Corey Burton. He doesn't have any money, but he can still see where his little money is.
He just got lights.
Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. I'm just kidding. Join us at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That is rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. In the next week or so, we should be getting a ruling on Ole Miss quarterback Trinidad Chambliss and his eligibility for another year of eligibility. He's looking for that 6th-year college football. Had the tonsillectomy thing at Ferris State years ago. I didn't realize this. He's going to turn 24 years old this summer. There's been some NFL scouts even saying that if he did come out in this draft, he could be at least in the top 5 quarterbacks, although that window closes by the day. But
top 2.
We asked the squad, should Chambliss get the 6th year?
I mean, we know Steven's going to agree that he definitely should get it. And I understand why he would say that. I'm going to say no. He played D2 ball. He played ball for some years. He's played 5, 6, 7, 13, 45 and a half years. I mean, he's about to go in there my age. I get it. No, but on a serious note, I think his eligibility should be exhausted. I get that it's D2, and I get the argument. Similar to Diego Pavia's argument with JUCO. Totally understood it. Didn't think he should have got that additional year. He got it. Trinidad's most likely going to get it, but man, it sets a terrible precedent going forward to continue to allow that. Once you hit that, I mean, heck, our linebacker Owen Heineke played 15 minutes of lacrosse at Ohio State. He transferred to Oklahoma, walked on. He only got 3 years of play at Oklahoma in football. Why? Because of that one freaking year at Ohio State playing lacrosse. That ain't football. But he played 15 minutes of lacrosse. He told that man, you got to go. So, yeah, I'm bitter. That's exactly what it is. Confirmed. I'm bitter.
Well, you know where I stand because Vandy got Diego Pavia because of something similar to this. So,
I mean, Joey Aguilar is trying to get another year as well. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's part of the Diego Pavia suit. I know Pavia's not trying to get another year, but it's his lawsuit.
He's at the Senior Bowl now, so
preliminary injunction hearing coming up for that on February the 10th. I don't think anybody's banking on that whatsoever. But I mean, like the whole thing that makes no sense. And Steven, I know that this is your deal, so I'll let you talk. But like last year, Tennessee was trying to get a baseball player eligible in Alberto Ozuna. It did not happen. But like Division II, where he left Carolina after the World Series, went to Tampa because he was going to be eligible to play Division II, and Tampa's a powerhouse in D2. Spent the fall there, came to Tennessee at the end of January, like 2 weeks before the season started, and never got eligibility. Couldn't play, but he was eligible to play Division II. I mean, it just makes no sense, the fact that like the NCAA can't even get its own story straight from level to level. It makes no sense. I'm with you, Jay. I mean, even with Joey Aguilar, man, I would love if Joey Aguilar somehow got preliminary injunction here in a couple of weeks. I mean, sign me up. I mean, the whole thought process of Tennessee's season shifts, right? But I don't think he's going to get it. I do think that there's more faith in Trinidad Chambliss to get it for Ole Miss, though.
Yeah, this isn't a Diego Pavia type lawsuit.
Yeah,
What went on? It is more similar to what you mentioned about the baseball player in D2. There's different rules when you have a medical issue in D2 as opposed to what is acceptable in D1, and one is not acceptable. What is okay in D2 is not okay for D1. That's what they're fighting with, because the notes after the fact and all that, which would be okay down there, is not okay up here. And it's all been documented. He had tonsillitis, which is going to inhibit an athlete performing at a high level regardless. I mean, you're not going to be able to do it. And medically, he has it there to happen. Now, it doesn't sound right because of all these extra rules, but there's no doubt. If you ask me right now, Trinidad Chambliss is going to take the first snap whenever Ole Miss kicks off in 2026. It's just a matter of whether it's in the waiver that's already happened by the time you're watching this, that they met on Wednesday, or you have the injunction on February 2nd, where that happens there. If it gets the injunction, listen, it's in the state of Mississippi, it's run by Ole Miss lawyers. It's the judge that's sitting in that case played quarterback at Northwest Community College in the 60s. And there's a lot going on about understanding what the situation is. So I don't doubt that he's going to play. I'm curious to see if the NCAA will just take the win by not taking the L in court, which they have taken from time to time. Just go ahead and grant this, and then go get this guy that played in the G League basketball and go after that case, a case that you can win.
Well, that's where I wanted to finish things off. Charles Bediako, if you guys missed this, played a couple seasons in the NBA, declared for the NBA draft at Alabama a couple years ago, went undrafted, but signed multiple NBA G League contracts, considered professional ball, but got a judge in Alabama to rule that he could return to college. So,
I mean, hey, not only a judge, Gordy, a donor.
Right.
Donor to Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, all the jokes, they write themselves. I hear you. It's like this in a lot of places, but a literal booster for Alabama is the judge. I mean,
it sounds like that's what we would all do in all of our states if we were all fighting this exact same thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, like,
you know what I'm saying? But you're right. It's hilarious that it got to that end.
It's hilarious
he's
that it's
operating
Alabama and it's a donor, because it's like everybody knows they do that stuff anyway.
He's playing right now on a TRO. He, to my knowledge, he's not got injunction. He's playing on a TRO, and that was just extended 10 days because the weather in this part of the United States is crazy. So we'll see how long this goes. Again, I think, and I understand amateurism's out the window. Like we're talking about a quarterback playing a 6th year. I mean, Hendon Hooker was 26. Now it was because of medical red shirt, COVID year. I mean, but like
DJ Finley 2.0, right?
Yeah,
Exactly,
I mean that's ridiculous. But like, you're sitting here, and the guy declared for the NBA draft, has played parts of 3 seasons in the NBA G League, and he's the first to want to come back and is now back in college. And guys, they played Tennessee the other night. Dave Neal's a good broadcaster, but oh my gosh, it was like, wow, overcoming all the obstacles. Oh my goodness, wow, Bediako, he does. It's like the dude did not have a broken leg and making a comeback here. This is game 1 of his 2nd stint in college. I mean, it was ridiculous. So
now
it's crazy.
I would say that the only thing I can say, just in argument for them, in which the devil never needs advocates. If you ever hear me say that, they don't. Devil don't need no advocates. But I'll give them this though. We have seen guys go play minor league sports elsewhere and then come back, right? I mean, Chris Winke's a great example. He played minor league baseball and he came play quarterback at like 30. Didn't really last in NFL long because he was already 30 by the time he got there. But in this case, it's just dumb. Like, you went and played in the G League, and why are we, again, the NCAA is allowing this to happen. They know that humans are habitual line steppers. We're going to jump across. We're going to play on that line and dance as much as possible to see and push the envelope. We're going to keep doing it. And they know
Nate
this.
Oates, like when Baylor did it with the guy that never played college basketball, played G League, and all that. When Baylor did it, Nate Oates was in the public saying, "Oh, that's just awful, taking away scholarships, taking away opportunities." Like, I understand Bediako didn't take a scholarship away because they had one open, but he played 26 minutes the other night against Tennessee. You don't think he's taking an opportunity away from somebody? I mean, the hypocrisy there from Nate Oates. So again, I understand this is just a long list of things that this is wrong right now, but I watched that game. They played Tennessee first, so I feel like I was there firsthand, but it's just, man, it was the whole Dave Neal circus on the broadcast was a bit much.
Before COVID, it was rare to see a 6th-year senior. This would be a big deal what Trinidad Chambliss was trying to do. And after COVID, I've seen 9th-year seniors, 8th-year seniors. I do not know how a free year in COVID amounted to 3 extra years of eligibility because that didn't happen before COVID.
Yeah, I saw National Lampoon's Van Wilder with Ryan Reynolds. It's, what's the old Tommy Boy line? A lot of guys go to college for 6 years. They're called doctors.
For 8 years, they're called doctors. Yeah.
Let's get a real job. All right, gents, we will leave it there. Thank you guys for making Locked On your first listen. Hey, remember to follow and subscribe to your favorite Locked On show. We'll be covering your favorite team throughout the off season, and make sure you subscribe and follow so you get all the latest episodes. And if you never miss an episode, that Everydayer Club might just be for you. It's built for you. Ad-free versions of our shows, plus members-only Discord access at the LockedOnPodcast.com/everydayer to check it out to find more. I'm Chris Gordy for Jay Smith, Stephen Willis, Eric Kane, and Corey Burton. This has been our SEC Squad Show. We'll talk to you guys next week.